and they are being recognized. When Sirleaf Johnson became president of Liberia, we were all very happy. Everybody was like, wow, this is another plus, because Liberia had come from a very difficult situation, and to have a president who came and acted as mother, so to speak. Now we have Namibia also, with a history of apartheid behind them, having come from gained their independence from South Africa around 1990 or so, after apartheid. So you see that gradually women are climbing the ladder. And then we're looking at ourselves. I'm so excited, I'm so elated. She shares the same birth date with me, Professor Nana, Jane Opoku-Agyeman. So I recognize her as a sister, the big sister. And I see her as a beacon of hope for very young women coming up, and as a role model as well. So it's exciting. These are exciting times for women all over the world, actually. We just saw Kamala trying to get somewhere, and it didn't happen, but at least it lifted up women. But then the story of Namibia also is that this party, SWAPO, has been in government since independence, 1990. But this particular election, they lost out. From about having a hold on parliament of 65%, it's come to about 53%, which means that something is not quite right. So the youth again apparently played a role in getting these figures for the opposition to at least come up a little bit. We just saw South Africa also losing out big time because the youth again felt disappointed. You see, this youth factor I'm bringing in is because we've also just gone through an election that has brought to fore the strength of the youth. So even though this woman is about 72 years old, she still has to deal with the youth. We have to make room for the youth to take over. And so Namibia, congratulations to your new first female president. I hope that she delivers. She has been in the trenches. She understands the feelings of the people, and therefore all that we will expect as Africans and also Namibians will expect from her is excellence. And we hope that she would deliver. Yes.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Yeah, good morning to you once again, and good morning to our cherished viewers. Congratulations, my president, our president-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and a special congratulations to the first ever vice president, female vice president. We are really proud of her, and I want to say congratulations to Ghanaians and to the NDC fraternity especially for the good work done. Having said that, I want to also congratulate the first ever female president-elect of Namibia. Like my sister said, it's quite heartwarming that women are coming strongly to the front line when it comes to politics, and also for the fact that Namibia has some belief in a woman and having elected a woman for the first time as a president. For me, it just shows that women are being recognized when it comes to politics, and the fact that, you know, when it comes to decision making, women gradually are working to be part of decision making. And I think that it's important that though our numbers are few, the few that are there needs to be encouraged, and also we need to encourage more people to also come to the front line when it comes to politics. I believe that she would deliver because she has been in the front line when it comes to politics. She's occupied a number of ministerial positions before having been elected as president. And again, that for me gladdens my heart that here in Ghana also for the first time we are being elected as vice president, as Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang. It just shows that gradually more women are coming to the front. More women are also working hard to be part of decision making. I remember our president when he was being interviewed by BBC about efforts being made to allow more women to play front line politics. He made comments like women are not working enough, to be recognized when it comes to front line politics. But I think women have come far in terms of our struggle, knowing very well that in most of our traditional home or our culture, generally in Africa, seems to give more preference to male over female when it comes to certain, areas in terms of decision, for example, as to who to educate, when maybe parents don't have much funds to send both children to school, they would always choose male over female, with the notion that a female, no matter how highly educated the person may be, the kitchen is always the place for women. So gradually, that notion is being changed, or that notion is changing, and now people are beginning to have confidence in women, and for she being voted for. For me, what I will say is that given that mandate, will play a lot of role in terms of a lot of women would look up to her, especially when it comes to delivery, because her ability to lead the country, to get a lot of strife or to get a lot of development would determine the future involvement of more women, or in terms of opportunity for women to lead or come to such positions. So her performance would kind of determine the future performance of women in terms of politics or decision making. So I'll just pray and hope that she would deliver on her mandate. She would give out her best. She will form the best government that Namibia, for example, ever made, and make all women in Africa, and specifically Namibia, very proud, just as how a lot of young women and women in general in Ghana are today very proud that we have, for the first time, seen our own occupying such a high position. And I know that it will be a turning point for a lot of women and young women, especially when it comes to politics and when it comes to working hard and being recognized in society.
But let me just put this general question across, and
Any of you can respond to that. And it has to do with, no matter how ready and willing women are, to go to the forefront when it comes to politics and make themselves known and put themselves out there, is our society accommodative of us in that regard? Because sometimes the social construct stifles us, and it's not like women are not ambitious enough to put themselves out there when it comes to leadership, politics, and other great spaces.
I think it just has to do with our culture, as I earlier on mentioned, that people feel that as a woman you should be behind. I've heard a few times utterances like, "Oh, when men are talking, you a woman, you do not come there." And I feel it's our culture that we need to really work at, because the culture makes it look as if you're a female, you cannot be an achiever. If you're a female, there are certain roles that are preserve of males. And so if you're a female, you should not get there. Surprisingly, even when it comes to our educational system, you know, there are some courses that people see as courses that are solely reserved for males. And so if you're a female and you try, so this is a more male dominated area, why would you, a female, want to go there? But I think it's a wrong notion. But culture is for the people, and so if there are certain norms or belief within our culture that is not helping us as a people, I think we need to move away from them, because women are capable of doing anything that a man or a male can't do. And again, let me just go to our educational system. Statistics show that, you know, when it comes to our educational system, more females are doing much better than male. And this, I think, with these statistics, it should help us change our orientation or our mentality about females' capability. And also, well, it's also because of the fact that, because it's just few females that are making that effort, it makes it look as if females are not capable. But I know and I believe that females are capable, and the statistics are out there. I mean, we have great females that have led, you know, countries that have brought a lot of development, and Germany is a typical example. When Angela Merkel was there, she did so well, and I mean, brought a lot of development, and you know, people kept voting for her over and over and over until she herself said it was enough. She was not going anymore. So I think it's a stereotype challenge that we all need to work to change our mentality, that women are not achievers. Right. Over the years, we've seen great women doing great things.
Right. Thank you. Ancho, you wanted to add something?
You know, because of our cultural and the certain beliefs that we have amongst our communities, people always feel that when a woman is assertive, then she's arrogant. You know? And that is the one thing that is pulling us back. Women are not able to rise up in the political sphere. Basically not because we are not capable when it comes to qualifications or anything. But sometimes too, you have to look at the economic empowerment that women don't have. And then also, women, sometimes, we ourselves are the ones that pull ourselves down. You know, take this scenario. You enter, you get a crowd, everybody's sitting down, and you're talking, seriously talking about issues. And then suddenly the woman gets up and starts serving water. You understand? It just comes to the person naturally.
Yeah.
The person just gets up, and then the person then becomes, when it's lunchtime, oh, what would you eat? They go around the men asking, and I ask myself, why are you doing that? We are all here on the same level, on the same tables.
Yeah.
Why do you have to get up and go around asking? You understand? From there, you've already lowered yourself.
So it's passively sending a message to the rest.
That you are a subservient person. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, women have to be assertive. You have to go and know yourself. You have to value yourself. Add value to yourself. And keep at it. A lot of this, when we go campaigning and things, you're expecting a woman when there's no water, you should get up and go and look for water. Those kinds of things. Why? It's because of this cultural thing about us. Women are supposed to be the people providing the services. Women are supposed to be the ones doing this job and that job. Even when you are in the university and you have a boyfriend, you go doing the washing, you go doing the cooking. And whilst that person is probably lying there learning.
Yeah.
You get me? So it's about time we had a different mindset towards ourselves, to know that if we're actually saying that what men can do, women can do it better, or even women can do, we must live by that. And it boils down to the fact that even at home, you find the male child being left alone. Things are changing though, but it is still there, you know. And then whilst men are out there trying to rise up in whatever job opportunities they have, we are talking about relationships. When are you getting married? How many children do you have? You know, that's the whole thing. When you go and visit your grandmother, you and your brother, It is you that she's going to ask, when are you getting married? And then ask your brother. You see? So all these things must change. We must try and change them. I'm so happy with the strides we Ghanaian women are making. Yes, I think that we are not doing badly at all. We are seeing more women coming up, and Prof. Nana Ajiman has just shown us another angle of how women can rise up to political positions.
Right. Very well. Thank you very much, Prof. and Auntie Roslyn Ayana. You know you can be a part of this conversation by sending in your messages on the number displayed on the screen. Strictly text messages and WhatsApp, not for calls. Thank you for your cooperation. Now, there are some messages coming through which I'd like to quickly read. This one says that with no apology, Akufo-Addo and Ajiman Rawlings have a hand in the death of our dearly late President Jerry John Rawlings. And John Dramani Mahama and his team must investigate his death. We see. Okay. This one also says that thanks be to God Almighty for smiling on Ghana once again. Congratulations to ex-president Mr. John Dramani Mahama as the president-elect of the Republic of Ghana, as well as the NDC party for winning political power. My humble plea with the president is that appointments should not be based on familyism, cronyism, and patronage, because it becomes cracking the whip when such appointees cross the line. There must be moderation in such appointments and ensure that the state regulation capacity will not fall flat. Also, competence in the people they appoint should be based not only on royalty but in meritocracy. Nana Osei Owusu-Fosu from Abase in the Bono East region. All right, thank you very much, Nana. This one also says that, good morning, Ohema. God bless you all for resisting oppressors' rule and for working hard to rescue Ghana from this wicked regime. For me, the electoral victory is the best Christmas gift for Ghanaians in spite of our terrible economic conditions. I pray other political leaders, including Madame Rodlin and her party, will join hands with Mahama in a unity government to rebuild the country. Okay. Thank you. Let me read this last two. This one also says that our old-time morals and discipline must be instilled in the people, schools, churches, so that God himself, through his Holy Spirit, rule in our governance again. The public insults, freedom of speech must be cancelled. It's not good for Ghana. Right? Thank you. And finally, good morning, Ohema, and to my former lecturer. Okay. That is pertaining to the interview that went on before we came on for the newspaper review segment. This one says that all Ghanaians should come together to support the president-elect, His Excellency John Mahama, to succeed and bring Ghana to where it ought to be. Meanwhile, the NPP leadership, Kenoforiata, President Nana Akufo-Addo and the Achim Mafia family, the Japade document and its contents, and the NPP media houses caused them this humiliating defeat. This selfish greed and disrespect by the NPP has resulted in this shameful defeat. Congratulations to Dr. A. to JDM, Thomas from Ablekuma. All right, thank you very much. The conversations continue. We just crossed over to what's happening here in Ghana from our African story. And our next topic borders on Mahama, now president-elect. Heavy burden of economic hardship, looted coffers, debt crisis await him in January 2025. Prof, do you think so?
Well, Ohima, you know, for me, I knew that NDC was going to win this election. But
what were the indicators for you?
I mean, the hardship alone was enough. And, you know, we all kept saying that this election was going to be a test of our sanity, because everything was just wrong. Everything. And when you go to the rural areas, that's where you will see the reality of what we are talking about. Right. And you see, the fact is that the middle class is the class that is holding the country. So when you destroy your middle class, you've destroyed the country. When the middle class is destroyed, then the country is destroyed. And within these 4 years, that is what we saw. That the middle class was virtually, being destroyed. Because a lot of people depend on this middle class. You are here, there are people in the rural area who will call you, oh, send me some momobi, some more, credit. And when you lose your job, what happened? All the people that are dependent on you are going to suffer. And that is what we saw before the election. And so the hardship and the difficulties were so real that we knew we were going to win, but not this margin. I mean, for me, this election and this victory just vindicates what Mahama witnessed after 2016, the name calling. And he kept saying that time will tell, time will vindicate him. And the massive votes, or the level of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It was so clear that this government have disappointed Ghanaians. Ghanaians went to the poll remembering PDS scandal. They remembered the cathedral. Ghanaians remembered COVID levy. Even when there's no COVID, we are still paying levy. Ghanaians remembered 60 billion that Bank of Ghana printed, and we were not told what the money was used for. Ghanaians remembered that a minister had millions of dollars under her bed at a point when our vice president told us that by their second year in government, every Ghanaian will have a bank account. And these people who said we will have bank account, indicating that we will all be saving at the bank, managed to collapse bank. That's when you look at some of them, we just deliberate attempt to attack businesses or people they perceived were lenient or were supporters of NDC. At a time when they said they were they were going to open account for every Ghanaian, that was a time Ghanaians couldn't even feed themselves. When you take your salary, by the 10th of the month, you are praying that the month should end because you have finished spending your money. So there was enough indication, and the polls shows that NDC was going to win the election, which of course we believed it, but we did not just take it for granted that polls show that we were going to win. We worked towards it. We worked hard. I saw a lot of youth at the forefront, a lot of women. Everybody was doing something to make sure that we win. But I never knew that it was going to be a humiliation defeat in this manner for the MPP. When you look at the map of Ghana, the map of Ghana is virtually green. And it's just, again, an indication of the bad leadership of our president. At a time when we said everything was not right, they said everything was right. I remember in one of his address to the nation, he was making mockery of us, that we should open our eyes. There are projects everywhere. They throw figures out there. They have built roads that had that over 10,000 kilometers of road that people, you know, said that it was like from here to China, and we kept asking ourselves, where are the roads? Everything. When you say you are hungry, they tell you free SHS. Meanwhile, the free SHS that they always touted as a great achievement, they only spent 9 billion Ghana cedis on free SHS. And yet that was their trump card. So, this level of victory margin for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama just shows that indeed Ghanaians have been hurt by this maltreatment that our president gave to us. I've just been monitoring Ghana Web, and it shows that even the victory margin is going up more. Now it's around 58%, because as of yesterday it was 56.55, and they indicated that about 9 constituencies were not yet, they had not collated their results, and it shows that his margin is even going up. And this just tells us that indeed for the past 8 years we've gone through an unprecedented hardship, unprecedented heartbroken, a time when people, you know, had worked and had, you know, gone on pension and wanted to just relax and enjoy the fruit of their labor. A lot of them had their money taken away from them through the DD, the domestic exchange program. And so all this just shows that the MPP and His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had failed Ghanaians. And for that matter, they had to vote them out. For me, the level of victory just again tells me that there is a lot of expectation. Now we have won. What next? Knowing very well that the coffers is empty. By next year, Ghana will start paying its interest on loan. We've mortgaged virtually every avenue that was left or that was there that could be used, you know, to start doing something as a new government. It's like there's virtually nothing left. Unlike Mahama, that left a lot of money in the stabilization fund, in ESLA, and a number of funds for the MPP. We are coming into government with virtually nothing. But the good news is that we know where they have kept the money, and they will go after them. They will go after the money that people have packed under bunkers. Now we are told when they build houses, they have bunker that is under, you know, their buildings. Dollars being packed there. Polytanks, you see up thinking that there's water inside. It's all filled of money. People are now putting dollars under their beds. Who go after all this? Because there's a lot of money in the hands of individuals, and they know themselves. They know themselves. Look, Ghana, we are saying that we are broke. But have you gone to Accra recently? Go to Labone. Go to Cantonment. The structure coming up. That is where the money laundering is now, you know, being diverted into the estate business, the estate industry. That is where the money is going to. Look, I think that as a country, and Ghanaians will be so disappointed in the next NDC government if we just allow people to take all this money. We will not just jail them, but we will go after whatever they have taken. Because whatever they have taken is supposed to be for Ghanaians and not for individuals. And so for me,
His Excellency has outlined that as part of his, you know, agenda, the 120 days agenda when he resumes office. But the question keeps coming through, that is that what Ghanaians need right now? Because in your first 4 months of resuming office, what we Ghanaians expect, I mean, there are some very brilliant, progressive, you know, pointers within the contract where we're looking at it to stabilize the economy or, you know, at least sustain it. But with running after the perpetrators of corruption in the previous government. Is this what we need in the first 120 days when President Mahama resumes office?
You know, he's outlined what he intends to do within the next 100 days. And he indicated that the first thing he would do is that he was not going to waste time. Within 14 days, he's going to have his cabinet ministers. And he indicated that he was going to, you know, be the president that will have the leanest government, very efficient government. The other thing is that he was going to have a robust code of conduct for public officials. These are very key things that we need to put in place as a government or as a people. That you should not go and appoint 100 ministers, because of course we know how much the government spend on a minister. So the more the ministers, the more expenditure. So you want to cut down on your expenditure. So as Ghanaians, we want to see that. And that is why he said he was going to do code of conduct. We've over the years seen ministers who are so pompous, who speak to us as if we are nobody, forgetting that it is we who have voted for them. It is we who have put them where they are. He said he's going to put a check on that. There should be a code of conduct. How you behave as a public official. There should be some guideline. There should be something that you should be measured with. So that is also very important. And he indicated the fact that he's going to go after people who have looted government assets. We saw over the years the level at which people looted government assets with so much impunity. Bank of Ghana printed 60 billion Ghana cedis. What did they do with the money? Has it come to account to us what they used the money for? As we are talking now, there are people on the National Cathedral that are being paid when there is no work being done. These are things we need to go. We need to go for. $58 million have been spent on a hole that you cannot find a block on each other there. These are things we need to go out there to find, to investigate. We talked about, for example, a contract of over 58 million US dollars given out to service ambulance, when we know that the cost of ambulance is like you are buying a new ambulance. When you even look, when you want to, divide the amount of money, the contract over the number of ambulance, it's as if you are buying a new. These are things we need to check out for, because there's a lot of money out there in the hands of individuals. We've seen in other countries. There was this video that I have forgotten the country, when the government lost, or when they lost power, you had ministers packing money in bags trying to flee the country. It's possible we are having this. If a minister could keep over $1 million, and look, we are talking about an amount that was stolen unnoticed. You can imagine what was there. If the money was small, I am sure when the house help took maybe just $1,000, she would have noticed it. But the house help managed to take over $1 million without her notice. This is just a minister for sanitation. Can you imagine what will happen when you go to roads where the proper money is? Minister of Finance, where the proper money is. What? So we are saying that if you need money, the money is there in people's home. I know they won't put it at the bank because it will easily show. Go out there and get the money. That will be enough probably to use for maybe the first three or four months. There will be enough money if you go out there to just get money that people have looted. So I think that it's not about whether that is what Ghanaians need. Ghanaians are very interested in getting back everything that has been stolen from us. For me, I know that it is not enough for people to go to jail for either financial loss to the state, but to also retrieve whatever that has been taken away from us. Remember, taxes were increased because government needed money. New taxes were introduced because they needed money. Remember the e-levy? They told us that if they have e-levy, it was going to solve all our problems. They introduced e-levy, even though Ghanaians resisted this. I remember very well there was some turmoil in Parliament because of e-levy. They still went ahead and implemented it. The question is, where is all this money going to? How come we are still bankrupt as a nation? So it's important that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC government go after people for the looted money, and that can be used as a base to start doing something. So of course Ghanaians will have an interest in we going out for this. And he also indicated the fact that there will be free tertiary education for the first years, and that is so heartwarming, because look, there are times when children get admission to a school, there are a lot of parents that are not able to sleep because they have to meet some condition for their children to go to school. Free SHS, they claim, though the word free is there, but if you ask every parent that has his or her ward in secondary school, tell you that they spend not less than 5,000 to prepare the child to go to school. So of course, if we are having a free tertiary education or free fee for the first years, that brings a lot of relief for parents whose ward will be entering to the university now. So it's important that going after the looted resources would help Ghana move forward.
Thank you very much, Professor Benedicta Ayera-Fosu-Mensah. Let me come to Auntie Rodelyn. What do you think? Do you think that Mahama is going to bear the burden or the brunt of the economic hardship, looted coffers, debt crisis when he resumes office in January 2025?
Well, I don't know how we're going to say this, but first and foremost, you know, it's only when the person leaves power and the books are handed over to you, then you really see
the damage.
For now, we're just throwing words and we're throwing figures, but it could be more, way more than what we're seeing. The hidden figures that are there, we might not know. But I'm not sure we are going to be able to take back those monies so easily, because it's not like the money is sitting somewhere and you go. Some of them have used them in real estate, and some have taken them out and all sorts of things. Even that, there's legislation. I mean, there's so many things. You just don't go and say you've embezzled. You must show proof that the person has embezzled. So I think that Mahama his first thing is having a lean government, which will save him some money. And I'm hoping and praying that it's not going to be a rhetoric, like we're going to have a lean government and the next thing we hear is there's an importation of about 100 V8s. That's not going to help us. You see, we should all understand. I know that Ghanaians, we have voted massively for change. We have voted massively for the NDC because we believe that President John Mahama has what it takes to probably take us out of all the problems that we feel this present government has created for us. But Ghanaians, we should sit down also and reflect. This is not the old NDC. This is a new NDC. The old NDC that people were thinking that, oh, there are a bunch of uneducated, you know, non-elitist people. It's no longer the same NDC. This is an NDC of very educated people. They also have their set of elitists or elitism within them. They also know the good things. They have seen the good things. And when you listen to young people who are trooping into NDC, it's mostly because someone came and said it was easier to be accepted and to grow within the NDC. Good thing. So everybody wants to belong. But Mahama has to be ready to deal with people. Because if he's not able to crack the whip where it is necessary, he's also going to have the same problems of giving young people the opportunity and being let down. Because you see, at the end of the day, we need to have a very good mindset program, change program, to be able to bring back patriotism and the feeling of nationalism within our body politic and the populace. People have to think of Ghana first. not the fact that I am NDC, my party has won. You saw what happened yesterday. Bunch of youths going around. They went to NADMO, they went to here, they went to there. Our party is in, so leave. Equalization is not going to do it. They must pull the plugs where necessary. When I listened to the president-elect deliver his speech, you could see reconciliation, you feel it. All-inclusiveness, a unified country is what he wants, and that is what we all want. NDC did not do it alone. This was a battle between Ghana and the NPP, and Ghana won. And that is what I want all of us to go home with, that Ghana won, not NDC won. If we can all look at it that way, it means that all of us collectively must be part of John Mahama's success story. We mustn't do things that will embarrass him. We mustn't do things that will make him fail. Because when he is able to do well, then we know, you understand, that as a country, our votes counted and our votes meant well. So, as we sit, we are looking at what brought this massive win. State capture. Virtually taking over the whole state for themselves. That is what the NPP did, or the Nanado government did. We saw blatant abuse of power. We saw failed promises. We saw massive destruction of our environment. For me, that alone was enough, because our environment is that one thing that keeps us going. Almost all agricultural lands have turned to concrete. So we are asking ourselves, how are we going to feed ourselves? The rains failed us. So it means that food crops are going to be very scarce by next year. Mahama is going to inherit that. So I want to be able to believe and understand that he's going to tackle agriculture seriously and make sure that food is available for the Ghanaian. Because you see, at the end of the day, we may not earn so much, but if you don't earn much and you can even feed yourself, you get solace in that. If you listen to Ghanaians as we went to the elections, most of them was about, and Kenke is now 7 cedis, and you can't buy this, and we can embed is 25 cedis. You know, it was a question of survival. That is one thing that we are hoping that he will settle for us. You get me? Almost all sectors of the economy suffered. The financial sector suffered. We had the cleanup, the financial sector cleanup, which was terrible. Some people benefited out of it, and therefore we kept on collecting the loans and all those things. It suffered. Our health sector suffered. Even dialysis. We saw people dying for lack of dialysis. We now have a few places having doom, so it is back. Energy. So it's like virtually everywhere suffered. Even the senior high school that was supposed to be free, we saw our children eating gari and watery substances called stew. You understand? We have seen the degradation in our schools. The quality of education has gone down. They can say it as they want it, but as a Ghanaian and looking at the way things have gone, I think that all of us would attest to the fact that the free SHS that they touted is also one that brought them down. Because even if you looked at the young people on the streets, they are people who just left the free SHS, and they saw that what you gave them was not what they voted you for. You understand? So it didn't hold. So for John Mahama to come and succeed, somehow he just has to make sure that he's prudent in spending, and that those that he's going to put, you know, in the helm of affairs of this country are patriots and nationalists who would put Ghana first before themselves. And also, he should be able to always crack the whip. Straight. Even within the next few months, if you give somebody a job and you find that the person is cutting corners or the person is going, you know, beyond your expectations, please just take the person out. There's nothing wrong with reshuffling. There's nothing wrong with sacking anybody. You understand? Because this is a country that is down that you want to lift up. And you cannot do it by being lenient. You cannot do it by patronizing people. You cannot do it by having a laid-back attitude. So, in coming, through with all these economic backlashes and the setbacks and all that, he just has to be firm. He really has to be firm. We cannot just go fighting and running after those people who have taken the money. It's not going to help us. It's not going to help us. Those qualities that are going to help us are those that are going to be in the health sector, the agri sector, and those that are going to be for the general well-being of the Ghanaian first, for them to know that yes, somehow things have changed. I would wish that within the next few months, if I went to buy a ball of kinky, maybe they'll tell me that it's 4 cedis. You understand? It's now 4 cedis.
Or even back to 2 cedis.
Or even back to 2. No, but I'm just saying 4 cedis because
back to 2 cedis.
Because it takes a few months for you to grow maize. It takes a few months, that kind of thing. So I'm just saying that if certain things are made, if you are prudent in spending, you cut all the unnecessary expenditure and all that, maybe we can get the currency stabilizing a bit, and therefore we can say that kinky should be about 4 cedis. You understand? And then Ghanaians will say, oh well, the fuel now is a bit better, and therefore when you get to the market, things would have reduced in the market. These are the very immediate things that Ghanaians will be looking for. But then having said that,
precisely so, that's why the question of whether the probing into some of the corrupt activities is very, very necessary.
It is necessary, but that is not what should be the beginning. You understand? That should not be our main focus right now. Yes, we can be rounding them up, but we shouldn't think that we are going to get anything from them right now. If we depend on that, we'll fail. You understand? Yes, you have a right. Are you there at airports? Make sure that nobody runs away.
In London, new
airport minister. No one is leaving this country. By the way, we will stay here. Nobody's leaving. We will stay here and balance the books before everybody else leaves.
But let me chip in this question, which can be addressed by either of you or both of you. You stated that the damage, the extent of damage that has been done to this country, there may be more to be revealed. But don't you think that the expectation or the rage with which Ghanaians voted the NPP out of power puts so much expectations on President Mahama, which can be draining?
It is. We're expecting a lot.
Because when you listen to Ghanaians, you realize that the expectation is weighty.
And that's why I'm saying that at the end of it, you need to put the right people there. Let's see them doing the work. Look, we had 125 ministers, right? Then it came to 80. Do you remember their names? We don't, because they didn't impact our lives or the ministries that they were sent to. So we need to be able to get the ministers who will impact our lives. You will see that this person is really working. You understand? And that is changing things for us, positive.
Yeah, and also the conversation of appointing persons who have a wealth of experience in the sector.
Meritocracy. Because it can be about parties.
Absolutely.
It must be meritocracy.
Yeah.
And the young people.
But that's what we saw in the previous government. Yes. Someone like the Fisheries and Aquaculture Minister has no background in that.
It's not only him. There were so many
who...
But that's what I'm saying. That at the end of it, we had 125, fizzled down to 80, and we saw nothing. Because they didn't know what it was they were supposed to do. So if you saw a minister of aqua, whatever, just going to say, don't go to fish, don't go to the, and can't even tell what a fish pond is, then you know that you have failed. You understand?
So that's what we're trying to, put forward for Mahama to avoid, because it also drags our progress and development.
So it must be meritocracy and experience. You understand?
Yeah.
And apart from that, look for the selfless people. Selfless people. You see,
like you and Prof.
NDC, oh yes, I'm a selfless person.
Like you and Prof.
NDC has a history of having selfless people. We saw at Tamils.
Yes.
You understand? We saw Geronis at the beginning.
Yes.
Before the others came in and polluted the whole atmosphere. So it means that we can have selfless people within the NDC. And those are the people you should fish out. We are not looking for for a better word, those who are going to equalize. That I went to school with this person, and the person got an opportunity in the NPP, and within 6 months, Eugenia built 6 houses or acquired this wealth, and therefore, young as I am, if I also get the opportunity, let me be like that. You understand? And the first thing, please, Mr. President, the first thing must be if there's going to be some form of legislation for lifestyle auditing.
For public officials.
Exactly. For public officials.
But I think that's where the code of conduct comes in.
Yes.
So I'm sure it encompasses all this kind of.
So that code of conduct, with such things in, we will be able to grab people very early. You understand? I mean, all those things that it will affect everybody. I mean, if you are immediate past public servant, it affects you. Once you get into parliament and within the first 14 days, you pass such laws, you have the numbers. You understand? As for NDC, you will have no excuse to give us, because Ghanaians went out and gave you the numbers for the president and the numbers for the members of parliament. You don't need the 2/3 anymore, because you already have the 2/3. So you don't have any excuse to tell us that minority didn't agree. We need for you to do the right things. What do you think?
I agree perfectly with you, and it's going to be done.
Yeah.
Like you talk about, the e-levy is something that Ghanaians are waiting for
To be
it
scrapped.
to be scrapped. And I don't think we need any numbers from the minority to do that.
No.
Emission tax, betting tax.
yeah.
I mean, these are things. COVID levy. There's no COVID, but we are still paying levy. You know. And the funny thing is, I remember during COVID, they gave us some water, I think, for some.
And we paid for it, electricity and water. We later paid for
was used.
and the food.
We
And the food that we never had. They have cooked food.
We gave you free electricity.
I have a slight
Now
problem.
we have paid and even overpaid.
Yeah, I have a slight problem with the betting tax. In as much as I think that young people voted basically because they wanted that tax removed, the betting tax. We would want to appeal to the president to make sure that he's able to create the jobs, because we don't want our youth taking on to gambling.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, one thing that the betting did was to take them off the streets. So you weren't hearing of bag snatching and phone as much as before, because they all ended up in the betting halls. Fantastic. But betting by itself is not a job. And we don't want to give them that opportunity of always lazing around in those places. We must take them out of those gambling halls.
The president has promised us a 24-hour. He would deliver.
The 24-hour economy.
Will create more jobs, because you have one job, you have 3 shifts, 3 people. So it's
One
means
job.
that
You see, the job is the factories. Manufacturing is what creates the 24-hour things. The raw materials, if you're going to processing, agricultural processing is one way of creating bigger jobs.
Have you read the IBRIC manifesto of the NDC?
It was there before.
Formerly we used to call it Ministry of what? Agriculture. Now we are placing emphasis on the agribusiness, because that's a huge industry that most often we just don't really look at. But that's a huge industry that will create a lot of job for the youth and for Ghanaians in general. And so it's not just about 24-hour economy, but the agriculture sector is going to be one sector that's going to create a lot of job. And look, believe me, the NDC, and for that matter, John Dramani Mahama's next government is going to leave a huge legacy for Ghanaians.
Oh no, as an improvement.
I know that we will not disappoint Ghanaians, because the level of victory,
level of support that you've had from Ghanaians.
Support, we cannot afford.
You can't afford to fail.
And if you ask me, I think that the NDC and this new elected government has their credibility, their reputation on the line.
On the line.
Oh yeah.
And so we have so much expectation, but I feel like we should, Ghanaians, please, let's lower our expectations a little. I mean, we've hung in there for so long, and now change has come. The president-elect has promised to put certain things in place to mitigate, the suffering, but also we have to put in efforts as individuals,
ourselves,
as people,
must be committed to building the country.
Exactly.
Yes, and
so if there are certain laws that are passed, we should comply and abide by them.
We must be seen to be doing our part.
Also talk about national dialogue. So
and I think that communication,
issue about the economy. Let's all see how the PES, which looks like
to the inclusivity you spoke about.
Yes,
so
inclusivity.
I
We must
that because few coming days, there will be such opportunity for others, because this victory is not just an NDC victory, but it's a victory for all of us, and so it's going to be an inclusive period that every Ghanaian voice will matter.
Okay. Right, very much so. It's been an insightful conversation here. We're still talking about happenings in Ghana, and we touched on Mahama being elected as president-elect, and the fact that the heavy burden of economic hardship, looted coffers, debt crisis await him in 2025. But my panelists have done justice to the subject, given their varied opinions, and there are messages coming through, of which you are always welcome to be a part of. Send your submission to the number that has been displayed on the screen. This one says that, able panelists, I am congratulating the NDC, PC Shaibu Majima, and the entire executives, including the Council of Elders, and their good work done to claim the Asin Central seat from the NPP, which got missing for 24 bad years. From Amos in Asin Fusu. Amos continues to say that, good morning, and the Kufuado and Baumia, as well as the other government officials, and more especially the EC chairperson and her staff, should prepare for their handing over notes without delay. I am saying this to test the minds of President and Brian Champon's utterances made to the good people of Ghana, that they will not hand over to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. All right, Ken comes through again to say that although we voted for change, we must be modest in expectations. Siding with me, I mean, I share the same sentiment. Since Akufo-Addo and his officials have plundered the nation and mortgaged all sources of income, including road tolls, get fund, e-levy, oil revenues, and pension funds, etc. NDC must be quick to seize ill-gotten assets, recover all looted funds, and withheld the ex-gratia of Akufo-Addo and his officials to serve as a deterrent to others. Greetings to my mothers there, and tell them to remember me, Ken Williams. Remember you in what exactly? Yeah, the victorious one. We'll tell the victorious mother. I should definitely remember you. But let's continue with our conversation. That will be our final topic for discussion, and it has to do with the victory margin that Mahama came through with. I would like us to just briefly go through the history lane of the various victory margins that the various presidential candidates, won the elections with. In 1992, George John Rawlings won with 50.2. 1996, he won again with 57.4. In 2000, Kufuor won with, he was leading with 48.17, and there was a runoff. And so we voted again. So the second ballot guaranteed him a 56.9 margin. And again in 2004, he came through with a 52.45 margin. In 2000, Professor Atta Mills came through with a 50.23. In 2012, Mahama came through with a 50.7. 2016, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came through with a resounding 53.72. And in 2016, 53.72. And in 2020, dropped to 51.30. And in 2024, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama wins with 56.55. 56. The highest so far. Yeah. No, apart from 1996.
Yeah, which was also coming out
from that dispensation. Right. Now, in our fourth republic, this will be the second highest. with a victory margin. And when we look at the figure or the percentage for Dr. Bawumia and that of Mahama, the margin is so wide. That is a difference of over almost 2 million. Because in 2016, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa, shot up with 1 million thereabout. But this time around, almost 2 million.
Yeah, voter party.
So
almost 2 million.
What happened?
Okay.
What happened?
Almost 2 million.
Yes.
What happened?
So MPP stronghold didn't come out.
No, apart from the voter turnout, because the voter turnout was significant. The numbers were significant.
No, not in the. You see, we're looking at strongholds that would be
strongholds.
Water region was about maybe 90-something% turnout.
Right.
But Ashanti, which is the MPP stronghold, was 48-point-something turnout. You understand? That's where the 2 million vanished. You get me? Part of it. But apart from that, we are now beginning to see that some figures were cooked all these years. You get me? So you hear MPP saying they have strategies, then some of the 100 ways, and then you now sit back and you hear of ballot papers being tamperinted, being kept somewhere, those kinds of things, and then you start asking yourself, what happened? Where from all these? So is it that over the years this is what has been happening? You understand? Ghanaians just lost trust in the MPP. That's what happened. It had nothing really, and I should think that President Akufo-Addo failed abysmally, really, as president. If you ask me, I would say he's about the worst that we've had. Worse in terms of economic management, worse in terms of even the basics that as Ghanaians, we see ourselves as Ghanaians. We kind of like went low. Britain was our biggest supporter, and as people who came through them, colonized by the British, as we see it, we didn't even feel the British anymore, the support and all that, and it looked more like we're getting to be France's other francophone partner. You understand? ECOWAS became something else, because somehow we had a president. I said, look, from the first time that Nana Addo Dankwa became president and he was hitting down on Kwame Nkrumah, I knew he had failed. I knew that he had failed. Because regardless, history is such that we all want to remember good things. And our country, the one biggest assets that we have, that we sell, is Kwame Nkrumah.
But it was...
You understand?
Napo that hit down on him.
Well, no, it wasn't. Napo came later on to try to hit that one, but it was taking away the 2 cedi notes, changing the Kwame Nkrumah holidays, doing all those things, and somebody will come out and say, oh, but he went and made a very beautiful Kwame Nkrumah mausoleum. Yes, he had the intention of putting the 6 heads there and putting the Danquest and the things in that mausoleum, and it didn't happen. I'm sure if he knew it wouldn't happen, he wouldn't have done it. You get me? But all I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, this government failed, and people Ghanaians punished them for it. Then there was the infighting within the MPP as well. The MPP broke down. You get me? It broke down. Our candidate suffered because he came from the MPP, and everybody else would say, but now but you were part of the mess. It was difficult to remove him from the mess. You understand? So I realized the fact that at the end of the day, Ghanaians don't forget so easily, like people would think. It's just that we are very patient people. So
just like Kwame Nkrumah said in that his post, if I can just quickly read it, it just affirms what you just said. And it says that there it is. It says Ghanaians are not timid people, as has been suggested by the foreign press. Far from it. They may be slow to anger and may take time to organize and act, but once they are ready, they strike and strike hard. it pays no one to tamper with Ghanaian freedom and dignity.
Exactly. And our freedoms were taken. You couldn't talk. You complain about something and the next, even when domestic builders were saying that food was not enough, you were sacking them. When they said there were not enough beds to take the students, you were sacking them. You understand? And then you want to politicize our security agencies to the extent that junior ranks were not even respecting senior ranks. I mean, those kinds of things are not things that build a country. So at the end of the day, I think that the low turnout and the deficit of 2 point whatever, about 2 million
almost,
came out of voter apathy in their stronghold and totally across the country. The people that voted for them in 2016 and 2020 felt let down and decided that no, we are not even coming out to vote. We won't come out. Because look, I was going around Accra, Greater Accra, as an observer. There were some polling stations that we mapped out, the ones that we felt were MPP strongholds and then the NDC strongholds. You get to an MPP stronghold and you ask, and they will tell you that, oh, I ask how many people are expected to vote in this place, and it's a 400 and something. This is about 3 o'clock, and I ask how many have voted so far with 65. 3 o'clock, and 420 or 411 people that are supposed to have voted, after 3 it's only 65, and the people are relaxed. Nobody is coming. Then you move, we get to another place, and I see a queue, and I ask, but why it's about 4:30, 4:35? This was around Udidudu there. And I'm like, why are people now coming in the queue? They said they didn't come early. The people have been sitting there and people didn't come to vote. EC was there, but the people didn't come to vote. This was a stronghold, like a polling station that was pro MPP. And so I was like, there'll be no lights. So if they stay here and they have to vote, how are they going to do it? And it was like, you understand? That kind of...
They couldn't be bothered.
They couldn't be bothered. You see, they couldn't be bothered. And it cut across everywhere that we went. That people were just not bothered. And by 3 o'clock, most EC were just sitting there. Nobody was coming. NDC, on the other hand, went very early to vote and were sitting around protecting their votes. So it just so happened that, I think Bami has been lucky to get the 4 million. Yeah. It could have been worse. And thumbs up to my Kosak people for all the zeros that he got.
Alright, thank you, Auntie Rolling. Let me come to Prof. Prof, let's know what your take on the margin, the difference, and how.
I think the margin just shows that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government have failed Ghanaians. They've performed abysmally. And people always describe his governance as the worst regime we have seen over the years. And also the fact that the MPP took their people for granted. And when you go to Ashanti region, I remember the Ashanti regional minister was asked to name just 3 major projects that they did in Ashanti region. He couldn't mention. He said, oh, but Monsieur Bonte Honma, you give it the information. It just shows that they had turned the whole of Ashanti region into a voting machinery, which should not be so. But when you look at NDC in Ashanti region, though we didn't get so much support from Ashanti region, but they did a lot during 2012 era for Ashanti region. But at a time when their own was in the realm of affairs, they didn't see any much development. And also, the fact is that the hardship was real. I mean, people who lost their money through the domestic exchange program were there. People who lost their job through deliberate collapse of banks, that they needed just 9 billion to revamp most of the bank or the banking sector. They decided to rather use 25 billion to collapse it. Those people were also there. Their ordinary Ghanaian who have to cough out 15 Ghana cedis to buy cocoa for breakfast. They were there. Businessmen were there. 2012 or 2016, when they just needed to use 3.8 Ghana cedis for $1. Today, it went as high as 17 Ghana cedis. So, of course, for me, the level of margin or the victory margin just shows the pain in the heart of Ghanaians. And most of us will always say that they should go to the polls, remembering e-levy, remembering domestic exchange program, remembering the cathedral, remembering what the state capture, remembering the fact that a minister had over $1 million under her bed. I mean, so that was clearly in the minds of the people. And there were people who kept saying that, hey, if NPP wins again, then we are finished. Those people were also there. So this magic of victory for me is an indictment on the part of the NPP government or His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Garba. And the fact that when you look at the NPP, it was as if some individual had hijacked the party. So there were a lot of also the silent majority even in the party. People wouldn't talk, but they were like, we will show you Pepe. And indeed they have shown them Pepe. I also West Wagon since 2000. Now we've taken it. Tema Central, Tema East, Tema West. I also Central. I mean, places that you can't even imagine. Look at Domi Kobinya.
So
look at Domi Kobinya. Domi Kobinya. We have taken it. Asinov, almighty Asinov. I say Asinov, Asin Central. Yeah. Canadian Japan's constituency. I mean, so for me, it just shows the level of anger that Ghanaians have shown in this particular election. And that level of anger also shows again the expectation of Ghanaians. And that puts a lot of burden on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So they kept saying that yes, you should celebrate, but you should know that, you know, immediately after that, you have to get back to work.
Yes.
So again, it shows, it sends a lot of message for me as a person that we cannot take the literate for granted.
Right.
That if you do not do the right thing, they'll punish you and punish you well. And I'm sure that the people who were on set those days trying to defend NPP, when things were so bad, they were saying it was good. And the president said, open your eye, you will see the projects. Ghanaians have indeed showed them a lesson.
Commissioning and
can you imagine that you were constructing a road? The road was still very dusty, and the people went to build a monument for him to commission, to unveil his own. I mean,
it's been toppled down.
They did. The funny thing is that we also had
when it came was then.
So this one is not real.
No, it's not real. Apparently, it was when it was lying there for them to fix.
That somebody took a picture and and we had Tiwa. Tiwa also.
Yeah, Tiwa. Names that
you see these things. I mean, it's not that.
So many things that happened in this government.
Yeah,
we're not
very interesting.
It's really an interesting. I'm sure it will go into our history books that our children and grandchildren will come and read about it. An era where you know we have what we call the Achim mafias and how a president
our under bridges painted.
Exactly, for millions of Ghana cedis. When can you imagine? I think just a week to the election, they allocated is it $50-something million for payment of dialysis for patients, kidney patients.
No money.
Surprising.
I mean, the checks can go, but
there was a time that fact, we needed 4 million Ghana cedis also to save the life of many people.
No.
And we said there was no money.
You are not part of the group.
And just 1 week to election, they had money.
That was done in December, the 1st of December.
The 1st of December. They just think that we are kids or we cannot read in between.
But and this has to be magnanimous.
I think this election, this victory is
some real stringent changes. You know, it might affect them. I'm looking at the MPs being patriotic enough to help the president to achieve what he wants to achieve, because he's made lots of promises. For instance, the ex gratia, the MPs must understand that if you go for 1 term and you are given an ex gratia, that's it. You don't come every 4 years and collect any ex gratia. That they must understand, and therefore they should be able to help him. And then also, I think that I'm seeing some things that there's last minute employment of people. I mean, those kinds of things are not necessary.
Employment by who?
By the sitting president to say thank you to
fill in all those gaps, you know. But you know, when they give you that kind of letter, you might just put it in the dustbin, because it's not going to happen. It isn't going to happen.
I mean, even if it does, you have to be very careful.
A week to election. I mean, this is something from
your office.
Not from my office, but like you said, it confirmed. Somebody told me that he's been recruited into the fire service and just showed no go home. So I was just telling the president, look, and they were asked to pay money for that this is the recruitment. They paid.
It's my scams going on everywhere. So the proposed public debt ceiling by Mahama, I think one of the most fantastic policies that is I think for me that would be good.
Yeah.
For us to be able to put a ceiling on how much we can borrow, as a country for now, because we owe so much.
Yeah.
You know, although people are saying that we might not be able to do certain infrastructure. Look, if President Mahama is able to finish all his e-blocks, finish all the Agenda 111 that they have left, finish the overheads and whatnot.
You need to call them to go and complete that hospital before they leave. And they have to complete it.
You know, and if for nothing at all, as Ghanaians and for somebody who is coming from the northern part of this country, if he's able to do the Accra-Kumasi dual carriageway, that would be icing. That would be icing on the cake.
Right. But I think this morning we have brilliantly exhausted our time here. It's been amazing, insightful, and also a lot of smiling going on by Professor. You can see that because she is in her.
It's a win for Ghana.
Win for Ghana, indeed. Yeah. Thank you very much for choosing us. But before we finally sign out, let me read a few messages. This one says, "Good morning. It's true that the new government cannot find jobs for all the youth, but there's a way out. Government can adopt a policy to export excess labor, including unemployed nurses, teachers, graduates, to foreign countries where they work and pay remittances to boost the economy, just as done in India, which earn $120 billion a year. Because I think in the course of the campaigning, I think Mahama made that proposition.
The thing is that we have to vet them. Because some of them are substandard.
Yes. So thank you very much for your message.
They go and
all right. Okay. I think the tablets have given up on me, so that means
teachers also. You can export teachers as well.
Yeah, as well. Right. Okay. So thank you very much once again. It's been an amazing one. I want to thank my panelists, Auntie Rodelyn Ayana, and also Professor Benedict Ayara-Fosu-Mensah. Thank you for always choosing to, help us explore the very necessary matters that arise in our country and to shape our country as well. And to you, thank you for always choosing us to bring you the very best. My name is Ohimai Chajekum. I sat in this morning for Glasgow and Alormasor, but this is Pan-African Television and we have more coming your way. Do stay.
truly African.
Should I go to the business? Let's go to the business.
A good evening to all of you, our distinguished guests. To God be all the glory. Great things he has done and greater things he will do. We thank the good Lord for making it possible for us to witness this day. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been 48 hours since the close of polls on Saturday, the 7th of December, 2024. The voters of Ghana have spoken. They have expressed their choice at the polls, and that choice will today be upheld by the Electoral Commission of Ghana. As a commission, we have fulfilled our vowed aspiration to imbibe transparency, accountability, inclusiveness, and responsiveness at the heart of all our operations. And I can confidently say that with the help of God, we have fulfilled these aspirations and the expectations of the citizenry. We have conducted elections that are credible, fair, transparent, and peaceful. Elections that have expressed, elections that have ensured that the will of the people as expressed at the polls, the elections that have guaranteed that every vote counts. As a country, we take pride in the fact that our electoral processes, initiated since 1992, uphold and guarantee the voter's choice. We take pride in the fact that the voter's choice, as expressed at the polls, is sacrosanct. Ladies and gentlemen, the last 4 years have been spent in injecting and infusing 4 key elements into every aspect of our work. And those elements are transparency, accountability, responsiveness, and inclusiveness. As such, we started the year poised and ready to conduct credible elections. We were conscious that elections were an event and not a process. This resolve led us to undertake several transformational decisions, including the reprinting, re-exhibiting of the Provisional Voters Register for the first time in our history, when concerns were raised about its credibility, as well as opening up the IPAC meetings to the citizenry by allowing the live coverage of all IPAC meetings. Indeed, the decisions to re-exhibit the Provisional Voters Register to allow a further review by political parties and the citizenry, as well as the demystification of the IPAC meeting, has helped diffuse the tensions that were brewing around the Provisional Voters Register. Ultimately, those 2 decisions restored the confidence of the citizens in the Voters Register and cemented Ghana's peace. Again, in the spirit of responsiveness, when complaints were made about the 50 pesos charged voters for the verification of their registration details online, the Commission waived the fee and allowed voters to verify their details at no cost. In line with our determination to ensure the credibility of the 2024 election, when the Commission received information of the leak of a single defaced ballot paper, the Commission acted swiftly and destroyed ballots for both Western and Eastern regions. This bold determination and this bold decision was based on our determination to uphold the integrity of the election at all costs. In less than 1 week, the Commission printed new ballot papers for both regions and went on to successfully hold the special voting 2 days ahead of the main election. As a commission, our singular message to our teams at all levels has been clear. It is that our mandate is not to make anyone a president or a member of parliament, but rather to conduct and undertake credible and transparent elections and electoral processes which uphold the voters' choice and lead to acceptable and peaceful electoral outcomes. Today, our resolve has paid off. We have conducted elections that are fair, elections that are free, elections that are credible, elections that are transparent, elections that are peaceful, and elections whose outcomes are acceptable by all. So transparent are our processes that any interested political party, media house, or citizen could collate with near precision the results of the election, attesting to the resilient and robust processes built over the years. And we witnessed this with the concession of the Vice President even before the declaration of the results by the Electoral Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, the testimonies on election day also attest to the efficient, robust, and resilient processes we put in place. Many citizens testified to the seamless processes they witnessed at the polling stations. The average time spent at the polling station was around 5 minutes compared to several hours and several minutes prior to the 2020 election. Citizens also attested to the efficiency of the biometric voter devices, the biometric verification devices employed to ensure that every man has one vote. The system worked efficiently and ensured that the voter who registered was indeed the person who voted. We are confident that the 2024 election will further cement trust in our electoral processes and reduce the suspicions that typically characterize elections on the continent. At this juncture, I would like to thank all of you who journeyed with us to ensure the success of the 2024 election. To our staff, both permanent and temporary, we say, Ayiko, you have worked hard, put in long hours, plowed the field, and done the spade work at the risk of your own lives to bring us a successful outcome. Our hearts go out to our staff who were manhandled during this time. We wish you well, and we ask the good Lord to bless all of you. To our media partners who have journeyed with us and enabled us to bring the commission to the doorstep of every Ghanaian, we say thank you. To the Ghana Police Service and to our partner, the National Peace Council, we say Ayiko. We thank all of you, the good citizens of Ghana, who have believed in us and allowed us to serve you. To our dear families and friends who have journeyed with us every step of the way, we thank you for your support, your prayers, your encouragement, and your advice. We are conscious that we could not have achieved this success without the help of the Almighty God, our anchor, without whom we could have done nothing. We remain eternally grateful, and I say thank you, Jesus. To all our observers from the ECOWAS, from the African Union, from the ECONEC, from the Commonwealth Secretariat, from the West Africa Elders Forum, supported by the Good Luck Jonathan Foundation, from the National Peace Council, from CODEO, from the Association of African Election Authorities, from the European Center for Election Systems, from International IDEA, from Manso Institute, IDEG, and to electoral commissioners from election management bodies in Africa, namely Uganda, Gambia, Kenya, Liberia, We say thank you for your support. We wish you all Godspeed back home. As the returning officer for the presidential election and in fulfillment of my mandate as enshrined in law, I will now declare the outcome of the 2024 election. It is important to note that per Regulation 63.3 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, the winner of the presidential election must obtain at least 50% plus 1 at the polls to be declared the winner of the election. We have collated the presidential results from all 16 administrative regions, of which 267 of the 276 constituencies have been captured. We have not been able to receive results from 9 constituencies because our offices have been besieged by political party supporters, making it impossible to complete the collation process. That notwithstanding, presidential results from the 267 constituencies, including the newly created Guan constituency, clearly established the winner of the 2024 presidential election. Simply put, even if all the votes from the 9 constituencies were added to the candidate who placed second, it will not change the outcome of the election. It is important to note that the Commission will update the records on receipt of the presidential results from the 9 outstanding constituencies. Ladies and gentlemen, now to the results of the 2024 presidential election. And the results will be announced based on the positions of the presidential candidates on the ballot. Mahamadou Bawumia of the NPP obtained 4,657,304, being 41.61%. Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the GCPP obtained 16,673, being 0.15%. Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement obtained 16,461, being 0.15%. Kofi Apalu of the LPG obtained 5,219, being 0.09%. Mohamed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party obtained 4,413, being 0.04%. Nana Akosua Frimpong of the CPP obtained 23,397, being 0.21%. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6 million. Let me take that again. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6,328,397. And I'd like to repeat that. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6,328,397, being 56.55%. Mr. Hassan Ayariga of the APC obtained 17,461, being 0.16%. Mr. Kofi Kranting, independent candidate, obtained 3,320, being 0.03%. Mr. George Chumberima Edu, independent candidate, obtained 3,091, being 0.02%. Nana Kwame Biediaku, independent candidate, obtained 84,478, being 0.05%. Mr. Alan Kojo Tremanting, independent candidate, obtained 31,202, being 0.28%. The total valid votes cast add up to 11,191,422. Total rejected votes 239,005%. Mr. Alan Kojo Tremanting, independent cast 11,430,531. It's important to mention that the total registered voters add up to 18,774,159. And the percentage voter turnout based on the 267 constituencies stands at 60.9%. 60.9% based on the 267 constituencies. And as I mentioned, this does not include the 9 constituencies whose results we are yet to receive. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned earlier, results from the 9 constituencies are still as outstanding. The 9 constituencies are Ewutu Senya East, in Sawam, Aduajiri, Akwetia, Suhum, Techiman South, Domi Kwabenya, Ablekuba North, Ahafo Anon North, and Damango. The total registered voters in all 9 constituencies add up to 947,116. In the event that all the valid voters from the 9 constituencies above voted for the candidate who placed second, the total number of votes he would garner would be 5,604,420, representing 46.17% of the total valid votes, which would have been 12,138,538. The inclusion of the outstanding constituencies would have given the leading candidate 52.13%, which is still greater than the 50% plus 1 required to be declared a winner. And so even with that scenario, he's clearly the winner of the 2024 election. In the light of the above, ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election and the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana with a total percentage of 56.55%. Congratulations, sir. It is finished. Thank you very much.
And what don't you expect?
In regards to the house?
No, or to the celebration. I mean, people would definitely pour on the streets and all of that. But what are you expecting, and what don't you expect?
I think the margin is indicative enough of the mood of the country to have given a candidate 1.5. I think it's about 1.6 million as it stands now. Margin against a person who is contesting on the back of having served in government. It tells you that the mood of the country is one of apathy against the government, and this is open rebellion against the government, albeit they showed it through civic means. And so I expect there to be celebration in the country, jubilation around the country, on account that people will feel that they have mounted an open protest against the past 4 years, the event of the past 4 years, and they have succeeded. And this is one of the ways to show your detest to governance, giving another party in an election such a resounding victory. And just not just the numbers, they have gone ahead to give the NDC 185 seats, 2/3 of parliament. That is unprecedented. The last time we got such numbers under this, I think, was when in I don't know if
92.
Yes, when of course there was a boycott by the NPP. But ever since we've had competitive elections in Ghana, this has been the widest margin. The only time we had such a margin close to it was 169 by the NPP in 2016. This time around it's 185 by the numbers we're having, 185. It tells you that the country has been clamoring for change. And this time, mind you, they experimented the hung parliament to hold government accountable. This time, they believe that the only way for the perceived corruption, for the state capture, for the loot, and all other intransigence that has occurred under this government, the only way to curb it is to give the next government a resounding victory in the house as well, so that the president can push through all he wants to do. And mind you, bless, to whom much is given, much is expected. And this victory given to the NDC, in my opinion, is a poisoned chalice, because if John Mahama is not able to push through the policies he sought or he seeks to implement, it will be considered a monumental failure, on account that he has parliament, he has 2/3 of the house, and anybody who understands the parliamentary architecture of Ghana knows that what 2/3 means. 2/3 is
can do literally everything.
Is the highest echelon of lawmaking in Ghana. You can repeal, you can impeach. There's nothing you can't do when you have 2/3 of the house. And so I would expect that whatever decision John Mahama and the NDC takes will be for the benefit of the Ghanaian people, because now Parliament is going to be a rubber stamp of the executive, owing to the fact that one party, not just a caucus, but a caucus of 185 members or more, may or are coming from the same party. And so it means that on a number of issues, their efforts will be aligned. And so if a decision is not in the interest of Ghana, as we saw with E-Levy and a few others, we could see it being passed through, and that will not inure to the benefit of Ghanaians, and that will cause rife in the country. And so I would expect that, having been given such a resounding victory, John Mahama will commit himself that every single action taken by his office will be for the collective benefit of the Ghanaian people, of which NDC, NPP, and all other parties form a part of. That should be the vision now. That should be the drive. That should be where the country is heading. And I know that if they do not apply their majority to this, we will be back here in 4 years' time, and it may be a different song. And so, in as much as we are congratulating them, in as much as we are, singing them praises, having established such a wide margin not seen before, we should also remind them that they need to be objective in discharging that mandate, to ensure that whatever choice they make is in the collective benefits of the Ghanaian people who have reposed this power for them to hold in trust.
Right. Would cross over to the residence of the former President John Dramani Mahama, who is also the incoming president, by the way. But this is an historic day, especially for the National Democratic Congress, to have won elections in 2012, be booted out in 2016. then wait for 8 odd years and then stage a return, that is unprecedented. Never have we seen that in our country's history, for a sitting president to lose elections, go into opposition for 8 years and then mark a return in such, emphatic fashion.
Yeah.
What does that also say about the ruling administration?
Well, you see, the ruling administration, when they came into power, because of the promises and very good catchy phrases like one village, one dam,
one district, one factory,
one
constituency, $1 million.
Yeah, if you think back at them, they really meant very little, because one village, one dam. What does that mean? If there's an upstream, town where villages, after one village, what happens? If you dam it, then you do also get the one that it doesn't make sense. So in other words, creating a sense of entitlement, that because you are a village, you are going to get one dam, without thinking of the whole country as a whole. Maybe just because that one has got one dam does not mean that I also need a dam. Maybe I need something else, and so on and so forth. And because it was so catchy, people, human beings, we're just like that. When we seem to be tired of one party and the other party comes up with all kinds of slogans, we tend to buy into it without being critical. And that is what happened. And John lost, the NDC for that matter, lost the elections, which at that time, I remember watching one of the speeches that John made at that time, and you could see the pain in his face, for losing that election, because he had a program he wanted to execute, and it was truncated. So in the 8 years, I'm sure he has worked on all these programs, which is why this time round you saw these policies like a 24-hour economy coming in, which is the main theme around the programs that are going to happen, particularly the jobs for the youth. The youth are out there not having any jobs. Inflation is so high. You look at the price of kenke. At that time, I remember there was a 50p kenke, and later on, I think, 1 CD also. Mm-hmm. And then, now kenke is about 5, 6, some places 7 CDs. Even Kofi Brookman has also taken
broke people can't buy Kofi Brookman.
Yeah. And then you look at the spending money where it shouldn't be spent. The cathedral, then you look at some of the functionaries like Cecilia Dapa, then the PPA, then PBS, then all kinds of people being appointed just because they are related to him and Bawumia. I've said something nice about Bawumia, but there have been some very bad things too, like so many members of the family having appointments and so on. It just became too rotten, too corrupt. We just needed a change. So John has benefited from that. So you look at the haircut, for example. People are saving money. You go to them and tell them that they should come and buy treasury bills. They buy treasury bills, and then you turn around and then you say, oh, by the way, I said I will give you 5%. Now I can't give you 5% interest rate. I'll give you 2% or 3%, and I'm not even going to give it to you now. I'm going to stagger it, just destroying all their plans. Can you remind me the question again?
So I was talking about exactly what the victory of John Dramani Mahama says about this government, and then the gap, the margin.
Yeah.
I mean, what it says about.
Yeah. So basically,
that should be a huge plebiscite.
Yeah.
By the Ghanaian people.
Yeah. So basically, this election has been a referendum. Yeah. It has been a referendum. Whether if Akufo-Addo were going for a third term, would you vote for him? That is